Hello YouTube, this looks like the same setup as the last video. That is because I've left the soldering iron on all night and all day, so I'll clean this up in a second, but at least the soldering iron is warmed up for me. On this video, I am going to modify a Furman's PM8E power conditioner. There are 11 screws on the top. Once you remove these 11 screws, you get a very stained back. The power conditioner takes in mains from the back, goes through an isolation switch, through a current sensor and a fuse. From there it goes into this power conditioning circuit and the output is tapped here, 2 banks of 5 connections. I think it goes to this transformer as well. This transformer is for a lamp out here and I think it's 12 volt DC or it could be 12 volt AC, which is switched on from here. These two boards have the same chip on them and these chip converts either the voltage or the current to an LED display. You can get some which have a bar graph instead. I've had a look to see if I can extract data from here and it doesn't look like it's going to be easy. So what I'm going to do is disconnect this transformer, somehow add this CT clamp. So that's going to clamp on this mains cable here. This is currently battery powered and it'll probably last somewhere between 3 and 5 years. But what I plan to do is power it off from this mini DC to DC buck converter. There's a few ways to do this. There's a transformer here which will step down the voltage and then go to either full bridge rectifier or 4 diodes which also acts as a full bridge rectifier. They both have I think it's a 5 volt linear regulator. These are very inefficient, but if I tap it off on the output of these, then I'll be putting more stress on these regulators. So I think it will be best to tap it off the bridge rectifier, the DC out. So I can measure the voltage, tie it on here and then add it to this big box. However, this big box will not fit inside this device. My aim is to have everything compact in here, so I'm going to have to dismantle this. From there, this CC128 display can read the data from these transmitters. It can support up to 10 devices, so I only need one display. It contains 2 very large D-size batteries and these are alkaline, so these will last a long time, especially when the power consumption on this device is very little. This model is different to the one that I've had before. This one has an additional 2 inputs, so it can measure 3-phase mains. It doesn't look like it's going to be easy to dismantle. After chewing off the bottom with this chewing off tool, some people use it to cut wires, but I use it to chew stuff off. I was able to get a screwdriver under here and then lift this up. It looks like there are little clips on the sides, and this is what the board looks like inside. This is the RF transmitter. There's some jumper headers here. The main sensor is in the middle and there's an additional 2 sensors for 3-phase. There's a chip in the middle. I think that will be the microcontroller. So what I'm going to do is connect these 2 power cables to the buck converter and then probably mount this circuit board in this top corner here. This lamp transformer is connected here and here, so that'll be easy to disconnect. I've decided not to remove the transformer. Instead, what I've done, I've taped the battery cover to the circuit board and it has some velcro on the back, so I can peel this off and then just stick it underneath. So that's main signal next to RF signal. That's not at all going to do anything bad to the signal, is it? I've connected the CT clamp somewhere slightly different to the Furman's CT sensor. I've done it on the input to the switch, they've done it on the output to the switch. So I will also be measuring the neon indicator. You don't put this across both live and neutral because they'll cancel each other out and you'll get reading of 0. I powered it up, so now this is all live. I'll be careful not to touch anything. I'll stick it on around 20 volts and I'll measure the DC out of the bridge. So that's saying just above 11 volts. If I measure the AC side, I get about 12.5 volts. The buck converter input voltage can be between 4.75 volts to 23 volts and the output volt is settable from 1 volt to 17 volts. So the 11-ish volts is okay for the input, and for the output I need to set it to 3 volts before I connect it up. Now before I connect this up, I need to measure the voltage. So that's 10 volts. That's way too high. So I need to turn this down and I'm assuming it is anti-clockwise. It's actually clockwise to turn it down. So I'm now at 5.9 volts. So I need to turn it a little bit more. 2.7 volts. So I need to turn it up a little bit. I've turned it up too high. It'd be easy if I can hold these leads on and turn it at the same time. But that requires 3 or 4 hands. 4.9 volts. I've just switched to this meter because I trust it a little bit more than that cheap meter. And that says 3.08. I can be a little bit over. The voltage will drop a little bit when I add the transmitter. The transmitter is already paired, but really I should pair it before installing it. So I'm just going to hook this up So that's connected up. Something's not right. I'm getting somewhere between 2.2 kilowatts and 2.5 kilowatts. I think it's the buck converter causing interference. So what I'm going to do instead is take the positive from the first pin here and then the negative on the 6 from the bottom. So I'll be powering this transmitter on 5 volts. It'll be easy to tap the leads on here than on the regulator because the access is easier. Running the board at 5 volts just means it's going to run a bit warmer than normal. It should be fine. If I connect the batteries back up, it reads 0 watts. So it wasn't happy with that buck converter. So that's the transmitter wired up to the 5 volt line. If I switch it on, I get 0 watts. And that 0 watt has been transmitted. So now if I switch on a load, it should take 6 seconds to update, but it can't measure through the air. I forgot to connect this up. Let's try again. That's not working either. It looks like I'm going to have to use battery power. And if I switch the power off, it goes to 0. I'm not having any luck with these alternate power supplies. The display comes with one of these plugs. It says it's 3 volts at 80 milliamps and it's sent to positive, which means the pin on the inside is positive. Measuring the voltage on the meter, it comes to 4.7 volts and that's open circuit volt. So if you put some load on it, it should drop down to 3 volts, but that might be a lot of load. I will now connect the power to the transmitter. I am now going to switch on a load of around 50 watts. But it's not measuring the wattage correctly. I have an Apple charger and an Apple lead, one of these 30 pin leads, so I'm going to cut this expensive lead. I've stripped the cables, and normally red is positive 5 volts and the black is negative or ground. I think my problem is that I don't know if these power supplies have clean power. I've set up a Patreon account, so if you want to help me to buy an oscilloscope, please donate on Patreon. The link is in the description below. I'm not sure why this expensive Apple charger is giving me a very low voltage of 2 volts. If I connect the power supply to a load, it now says 5.12 volts. That must have been an energy saving feature on the power supply. So the current cost says there's 0 watts at the moment. And if I switch on the load, nothing happened then, so I'm going to try repairing the device. What you do, you hold the button down for 9 seconds and then you press the right button until the lights flash. That did shoot up to 500 watts for some strange reason, I'm not sure why. So I'll try switching on the load again. Well, this isn't happy. I've done this mod before using a normal transformer and I don't really want to go to batteries as you have the issue of the batteries running out after some time. I've just found another power supply. This one is rated at 3 volts at 300 milliamps. Again, sensor positive. It's labelled as a battery charger, but I can't remember where this was from. This has an open circuit voltage of 6.9 volts. That seems a lot. I'll try turning on the load again. That didn't do anything. Maybe these newer ones is not as good as the old ones were. This isn't measuring things properly either. That should be around 50 or 60 watts. I've just paired another CT sensor up. On standby it's about 12 or 13 watts. If I turn the power off it should go to 0, which it does. So this is using 12 to 13 watts on standby, and if I switch on a load it goes up to about 50 watts. Side-by-side comparison. I've got 2 CT clamps on the live cable, not near each other. The first one is being powered by this Apple charger and the second one is being powered by battery. I've got the display up here. It's daytime, so my solar meter is currently working as well. Channel 0 is this display, which is the Apple charger. It's saying I'm consuming about 111 and 113 watts. If I switch to channel 1, which is the battery, 125 watts, 127 watts. So there's a slight difference there. I've switched on a 3 kilowatt kettle load. It's not going to read 3 kilowatts because I've got my solar panels switched on. I suppose I could turn the solar panels off. This isn't the proper procedure, but it'll do for now. That says it's 2.6 kilowatts. If I switch to the batteries, 2.4. So there's a bit of discrepancy there. I'm not sure how long it'll take for the solar panels to reboot. The solid light means the solar panels are not exporting any power, but it's blinking now, so that means the solar panels are doing its job. I've switched on 2 kettles, which is about 5 kilowatts. So on the Apple charge, no, in fact this is the batteries, 4.3 kilowatt. And if I switch to the Apple charger, 4.38. I'm going to get another battery CT clamp and see what that does. I've just connected a third CT clamp, which is also battery powered, on the live cable. I've learnt this morning live cable is not the correct terminology. The name has now changed to line, L-I-N-E, instead of L-I-V-E. Live was actually used in the 1960s, but since everyone kept on using it, it's still used today. So I'll continue using the word live, but the correct word is line. The LED is still blinking fast because it's in pair mode still. That will time out after some time, and that is now on channel 2. So channel 1 and channel 2 are battery, channel 0 is the Apple charger. We've got 120 watts on both of the battery CT clamps and a different value for the Apple adapter. I'm going to switch on the 5 kilowatts again. I'll switch the solar panel off. We have almost 4.4 kilowatts on the Apple charger, 4.2 on the first battery CT clamp and 4.6 on the other, but I think one of the kettles has just turned off. So that's 2 kilowatts. That one's still reading high. There we go, 2 kilowatts again. So 2.2, 2 kilowatts and just under. So the accuracy of these CT sensors are not that great. If you've liked this video and found anything useful, leave a thumbs up. If you haven't done already, please subscribe and click on the bell for more notifications. And could you also like my Facebook page? And I'll see you next time.